You're listening to Potty Mouth Radio, the home of movies, music, television, and comedy. The following podcast contains spoilers and rude words. We watch thing. We watch thing. Hello everybody and welcome back to the multiverse with Billy and Dave. Or are we Billy and Dave? Maybe I'm a different Billy. Maybe I'm not. I don't know. Maybe this just wasn't a good movie. Let's get into it. How you doing, mate?
Yeah, you fucking variant, you.
How you been? You're a bit sick.
Yeah, fluey, virus, plague rat.
Yeah.
But I soldier on because the listeners come first above my health and well-being.
But you did manage to get yourself out to the cinemas for Deadpool and Wolverine.
Yep, I managed to get to that before the viral onslaught, so that was good.
All right, well, let's get into it then. Deadpool and Wolverine is a 2024 American superhero film based on Marvel Comics featuring the characters Deadpool and Wolverine, produced by Marvel Studios, distributed by Walt Disney Motion Pictures. It's the 34th film in the Marvel Cinematic Universe and the sequel to Deadpool and Deadpool 2, which were not in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. It's directed by Sean Levy from a screenplay he wrote with Ryan Reynolds, Rhett Reese, Paul Wernick, and Zeb Wells, because there's nothing better than a screenplay written by 5 people. It stars, of course, Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman, alongside Emma Corrin, Marina Baccarin, Rob Delaney, Leslie Uggams, Aaron Stanford, and Matthew McFadden. And what is it about?
I'm just going to take this straight from IMDb because it's nice and simple. Deadpool is offered a place in the MCU by the Time Variance Authority, but instead opts to recruit a variant of Wolverine to try and save his own universe from extinction.
Yep, that's good.
I could literally talk for half an hour on the plot of this movie because it meanders and weaves and ebbs and flows and it goes all over the fucking place. But I think that captures it. I really want to say up front on this one, if you haven't seen this film and you are remotely interested, just fucking tune out now and go and watch it because every single second of what we're going to say is probably going to have spoilers in it. Yep. And if you care about the MCU at all, or these characters, half the joy of this film is in the surprises that it throws at you all the way through. So usually spoilers I don't think are a major issue with things, but this is one of those cases where you really want to go in cold. Don't even watch the fucking trailer.
This is like
the trailer spoiled shit.
Yeah. Yeah. This is like Spider-Man No Way Home level of, I don't want to even say the word cameos because that might give too much away, but, you don't want any spoilers going into this movie if you care. So, 100%. Yep, I agree with that. So let's get into it then. Did you see this opening night then?
No, I couldn't get to it. I didn't see it until Saturday or Sunday. It was on the weekend.
Because this movie's going nuts. It's done really good bank.
It is the biggest opening of an R-rated movie in history by miles.
Yeah, and it was quite expensive to make. The budget from this literally doubled the budget of Deadpool 2, which had already doubled the budget of Deadpool 1.
Well, Deadpool 1 was made for a superhero movie,
yes,
with Marvel characters, cheap as chips.
Yeah, whereas here we are, this is a $200 million movie. It's made that back in its opening weekend, so it's doing very well. But I was surprised. I saw this opening day and there was dick all people in my cinema. I reckon
really?
I reckon there were maybe 15, including me.
Damn.
And it was in, Cinema 1, largest cinema, completely empty. Not your experience?
Mine was packed.
Right. Because based on my viewing,
it was a weekend screening.
Based on my viewing, I was so surprised when I saw how well this was doing. But let's get straight into it then. Usually you and I don't talk about the film, but this is one of those cases where I had to, look, you're not sure whether I'm trolling or not. I had to go out there and say this movie blew. But, all right, why don't you give us your thoughts on the film?
Let me just say, right, before people just tune out now and go and leave us 1-star reviews, I love it. Fucking what is now become known as
this movie has been super mixed. I'm not alone here.
I know. I'm just saying, you know what the fanboys are like.
Yes.
There will be nice things said about this movie. Don't fucking cancel us now and go and give us a 1-star review. Okay?
But also, for all you know, I'm trolling Dave.
I don't trust you at all. Your Letterboxd review score is lower than Nicholas Haskins, which I find incomprehensible.
But let me just say, before we go any further, this movie has been divisive. I've seen lots of people on both sides of the fence. People either love or hate this movie. So I guess, look, whether or not we're going to be both sides of that coin, I guess we'll see. But why don't you give us your thoughts first?
Look, I very much enjoyed my viewing of the film. I heartily recommend it to anyone who even remotely likes these sorts of films. And you know if you do or you don't. If you like the previous Deadpool films, it's a hearty recommend from me. But there were a number of things which we'll work our way through that I had problems with. It's not perfect by a very long way. And yeah, a lot of shit about it really kind of disappointed me and irritated me.
Okay, so maybe we won't be that far off then, because look...
Oh, we will be very far apart in scores if your score is not trolling, but it is by no stretch... a perfect film.
Let me get straight to it. I absolutely agree with you. This is not a perfect film because this is probably one of the worst films of the year for me. This movie absolutely stunk. And I liked Deadpool. I really, really liked the first Deadpool. I thought the second one was okay, but weaker than the first. This one absolutely is the weakest entry for me. In what is ostensibly a comedy film, I did not laugh once in the entire film. I didn't even get a chuckle, and neither did anyone in my cinema. Like I said, it was a quiet cinema, and nobody laughed, including myself. I found nothing in this film funny. I found the violence so neutered beyond belief. There was no weight or realism to any. And look, I don't want it to be gritty, but it's so cartoony, which is in stark contrast to the first two for me. I found so little to enjoy about this film. Wow. Even Ryan Reynolds, look, he has his shtick, and you either like it or you don't. I usually like it. I didn't here. I found him so unfunny. Yeah, I didn't like this movie at all.
See, I think I laughed out loud more in this film than I have in any film for 5 years.
See, for me,
the cinema was this. The cinema was in. I can't remember a cinema laughing in unison so much since The Wedding Singer.
Wow.
And The Wedding Singer was
like
probably
I said, there was no laughter at all in mine.
It's incredible how that can. I mean, I'm not saying that that's entirely shaped your bit, but it obviously it plays hugely into how you experience
it's meant to be a comedy. Like, you should be laughing. And even if I didn't find anything funny, yes, it was a small crowd, but I would have expected somebody to find something funny.
I'm so surprised because, I mean, one of the issues that I have with this is, and it's similar weirdly to the main issue I had with Everything Everywhere All at Once, is I think in both cases, the writer, I mean, in that case, it was Daniels and Daniels alone, with no one to tell them yay or nay on stage, and they needed someone, I think, to tell them to trim this, trim that. I thought it was just too much. It was all good, but it was too much. In this case, it's Ryan, it's Sean Levy, who are basically joined at the hip these days, and Rhett Reese and Paul Wernick, who were the writers on the previous Deadpool films. So it's these four guys. I mean, I know there's a fifth in there. I don't know who the fuck that was, but whatever. It's the Deadpool guys plus Sean Levy, who's Ryan's, BFF.
Yeah.
Writing, directing, starring, producing. There's no one there, and you can tell that, yes, obviously Feige had oversight over everything, but he's obviously been smart enough to go, this movie is the reset point. Phase 4's been a fucking unmitigated disaster. With not leaving aside the whole Kang debacle, which derailed the train completely, but they needed a reset point. This is the perfect character to do the reset point because he breaks the fourth wall. He's self-aware. He can make reference to what they're doing so that it kind of people can't mock them quite as much. And the film very obviously does that. But the problem is that I think Feige's gone, in order for this to work and for us to be credible, they need to go full people are expecting this to be kind of cut off at the ankles because it's now a Disney film. We need to let him be even more R-rated, to go push the boundaries even more with what he does and be even cheekier and even ruder and all the rest of it. And so I think to achieve that, Feige and others have just stood back and gone, you go for broke, you do your thing.
Yeah.
And they needed someone to come in and trim about 20 minutes off.
I agree. The movie's way too long.
I actually, I mean, it's only 2 hours, 8 minutes. I thought it was about 2 hours.
It feels a fuckload longer than that.
And
I'll tell you what, this is a long-ass movie where very little fucking happens. This is so long. The entire first half hour is exposition. Here's my problem. Like, that's my biggest issue with the film, is that it's wanting to have its cake and eat its too. Like, you spoke about it kind of winking at the camera about what it's doing. If this was satire, for example, that would work. But it's not. This takes outright... Like, it outright says at one point, oh, the whole multiverse thing is, you know, you got to let that go. Like, mocking that.
Take the L, Marvel, which I loved. But then it turns around and it is a multiverse movie.
That's all this entire movie is just like, oh, and here's this person from this universe. And here's this person. That's all this fucking is. There's no decent plot. There's no decent action scenes. It's just sequence after sequence of, hey, Marvel fan, look at this guy who was in this other movie. That's all this is.
Okay, so this is where I differ from you a little bit. Yes, it's too long. Weirdly, I wanted more exposition at the front. We get dumped into this, 2 years later or whatever.
Oh, none of it makes sense.
Deadpool 2.
It's even different universes. It actually comes up with the titles. Why
is he? He had the time thing at the end, Cable's thing at the end of Deadpool 2. He went and brought the people back, so we've got Peter there. Fine. Where's fucking Domino? Where's Cable? Yeah. They were friends with him at the end. Nowhere to be fucking seen. Makes no sense. We got fucking Shatterstar back, who he didn't even like in Deadpool 2.
Yeah.
Whatever. Well, makes no sense. But he's broken up from Vanessa.
Yeah.
We get about 2/3 of the way through the film, we get a half-assed flashback that doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
But for most of the film, we don't know why they're not together. He went back in time, saved her life or whatever. They were perfectly happy.
And it seems like they're broken up because he wanted to be an Avenger and then went into like a bit of a depressive funk because he didn't get it. Like, that's fucked.
And so the Avengers are now in the Fox universe suddenly?
Yeah, I guess.
They've not been referenced in 18 films over 20 years.
Well, no, this is what doesn't make sense. No, they're not
happy.
But they're not.
That's not the happy we've seen before.
Yes, it is.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is. This is the thing. Not. Rewatch the movie. It comes up with the title. That opening scene is in Earth 6, whatever it is. That is the Avengers Sacred Timeline that we see Deadpool meet Happy in, and it makes no fucking sense because it's not explained.
That,
like,
that makes even less sense? Then
exactly.
I assumed it was a different Happy.
Exactly.
No,
because
it can't be because
it is.
No, because he references Iron Man being alive.
Yeah, because it's back in time, because it's fucking 2018 or something. That's what makes no sense about it. It actually says, like, Earth 6, whatever, 2018. Like, it's not the Deadpool universe there. So I don't understand if our Deadpool has travelled there, or if this... Like, none of it makes any fucking sense. So and here's the thing.
The Happy interview...
Yes, from my understanding of the film...
I need to sort this out in my head. The Happy interview takes place immediately after Deadpool 2, but before Avengers Endgame.
Yes, and in the Avengers universe, not the Deadpool Fox universe.
That makes no sense.
Absolutely it doesn't.
I understand in theory with Cable's device you can go to different timelines, but that's not different universes. You can't travel the multiverse with that.
Even on the Wikipedia page, this is the first paragraph of the plot. In 2018, Wade Wilson uses Cable's time-traveling device to travel from his timeline, Earth 10,005, to Earth 616, the sacred timeline, where he meets Happy Hogan and requests to join the Avengers but is rejected. That's just fucked. Like, none of that. Like, you're someone who liked this movie and you didn't even understand that.
That's wrong.
It's not wrong. That's what the film tells you.
Why would he be going for a job interview in another universe?
Yeah, I'll tell you why, Dave. Because the filmmakers don't give a fucking shit about the audience. Because they just want an excuse to have fucking Jon Favreau pop up because everyone loves him and he's like the glue of the MCU, but it doesn't make any fucking sense for this movie. It's bullshit. So here's the thing. This movie was not written by 5 people as a group, Dave. They were all separate. When you look at the credits, it was such and such and such and such and such and such. This clearly went through a dickload of rewrites. And I don't know where along the way this happened, but none of this movie feels cohesive to me at all. I know I'm being really negative, but that's because I have nothing nice to say about this movie. Look, we haven't even got into the meat of the film yet.
That's why I prefaced this, because I've got a lot of negative shit to say because a lot of shit annoyed me. But I need to stress, I enjoyed the film. Please don't hate us. I enjoyed the film. I'm going to give it a good score. But the shit that annoyed me really fucking annoyed me.
Well, are you even more annoyed now that you know that opening scene was supposed to be?
That's just one in a fucking myriad of the multiverse shit. And I'm so.
And this is my problem. If it was making fun of that, I'd be okay with it. But it's not. That's all this film is.
It came out of the gates very early on when we first get Matthew McFadden. Here's a positive. Loved Matthew McFadden as Mr. Paradox. I love, especially the first half of the film before he was a baddie. Loved him.
Yeah, I mean, McFadden can't do bad.
Yeah. But very early on, when you get what at the time was a fucking great line about, is this multiverse shit, fucking Marvel? Take the L. It didn't work. Move on. Do something fresh. I almost cheered in the cinema. I was like, thank God, fucking hit the reset. Before we then went on to get a fucking multiverse movie that was the same as every other multiverse movie.
Yeah.
And they can't be done. They don't make sense. It's like time travel movies. With the exception of maybe 3 films in the entire history of cinema, time travel movies don't fucking work because humanity doesn't understand time travel, and therefore we can't write a fucking story about it without it being inconsistent and having fucking plot holes. Yeah. Anyway, before that whole inconsistency came in, I was really enjoying. I thought, yes, this is what it needed. This is the reset, and there were cute little Easter eggs, like when he does finally go to the void, and I was like, oh God, it's fucking Loki again. It's going to be a multiverse thing. We're going to get an army of different variants of Deadpool. Foreshadowing. When you had like the wrecked 20th Century Pictures logo in the ground, and you had all of the relics of all of the different Marvel. I thought, this is what this film should be. This is how you reset. And then
but it doesn't. This has very little to do with the MCU. This is about resetting the Fox universe. And as far as we can tell, the only characters it's really reviving into that universe are Deadpool and Wolverine. Well, we get cameo galore, but none of them are there by the end of the film. They're not coming into the MCU.
No, they're not. And I've seen in subsequent social posts that Reynolds and others have put up, they viewed this film as a kind of a farewell to 20 years of Fox movies, which,
and I mean, you get that in the end credits.
Wildly varying in quality.
Yeah.
But they've made several posts on social media about, I don't care whether you like them or not. We love this. We enjoyed our time with them. They paved the way for the MCU. This was our kind of bidding farewell and attempting to give a sign off to characters that never kind of got it because, sequels were cancels and shit. And I kind of like that. And I actually found that quite touching.
Yeah, that's obviously what the film is. You get that in the end credits, where the entire end credits sequence is like the behind the scenes of all those older films.
Yeah, which I loved. I thought that was so much nicer than 10 fucking post-credit sequences.
Yeah.
I enjoyed that.
I mean,
I think they shortchanged the characters. I wanted more. I wanted more Daphne Keane. I thought she was hugely shortchanged. It's X-23, apart from the fact you fucking spoiled it in the trailer. But and I know you're not as big a fan of Logan as a lot of people are, but it is objectively a good film, particularly in the landscape of the Fox X-Men universe. It is far and away the best of those films, and that farewell to Logan was very touching. And I don't know if you realize it, but the film was actually a Western.
Yeah, now, Dave is saying that as a joke, because people say that all the time so seriously as if they're so smart for noticing that.
It's not a Western. It's a fucking road movie.
Topher and I text each other that probably at least once a week. We'll be watching some random movie. He'll be watching The Exorcist, and he'll just message me, I don't know if you noticed, but this is actually a Western. Yeah.
But after that very emotional farewell, and even your robot heart must have at least skipped a beat when she called him daddy right at the end. That's fucking beautiful. But you wheel her back in, and I love her. I think she's a great actress. She's fabulous. But you then stick her with a version of Logan that doesn't know her from a bar of soap. They have barely 2 lines of dialogue between them. And then that's it?
Yeah.
Why bring her back? What's the fucking point?
Well, yeah. Yeah, what is the point? That's my question. What is the point? Let's get into the meat and potatoes then, because we haven't even really touched on it. We're 20 minutes in to a review of Deadpool and Wolverine, and we've barely spoken about Deadpool and or Wolverine. So let's get into this then.
I think
you obviously enjoyed
fine.
Deadpool and Ryan Reynolds. What were your thoughts on Wolverine in the film? The way he's brought back the relationship between them, etc.
Okay, so we're going to get to some of the positives now. My X-Men loving comic reading heart loved all the versions of Wolverine that we went through, including the comic accurate, more than comic accurate short version.
The short one, yeah.
We had Patch, we had we had Age of Apocalypse Wolverine. Every single one of them is from a different era in the comics. I
love Cavill.
Well, he's not, but that was a cute thing anyway. That was cute. I liked it, but the versions of Wolverine. And particularly the comic accurate short version, I loved that. Loved that entire sequence. I think Hugh Jackman is the MVP of this film. I think the best thing about this film is that the balance of Hugh Jackman's performance with Reynolds doing his Reynolds shtick. Because I think you and I and probably a lot of people are not quite, but almost getting over it.
Yeah.
Because apart from a few films like The Voices and Buried and things, Reynolds has been doing Reynolds since Van Wilder in varying way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
And usually I like it. I think it's funny. But it's kind of like Mike Myers. It's at that tipping point where he's about to make the fucking love guru, and I'm going to go, I'm fucking over you, mate. I'm over you. You're in the Jack Black bucket. I'm sick of your shtick. Do something different.
Yeah.
Having Hugh Jackman alongside as this bitter, tragic, zero laughs character with 50% kind of screen presence, I think balanced that perfectly. Because Ryan Reynolds didn't annoy me at all. I found almost every gag landed for me.
Oh man,
I know it didn't for you.
It's the least funny film of all time.
I found him funny, and I loved it. I didn't think it was going to work as well as it did, having a self-aware character like Deadpool who breaks the fourth wall and is aware of his surroundings, sharing kind of a partnership, as it were, with a character who doesn't have that awareness. But
it works. Have you seen Ferris Bueller's Day Off? Ferris and Cameron.
But that at no point did I feel like Hugh Jackman was kind of being taken, the Mickey was being taken, or he was being lampooned or anything, even though you had his counterpart knowing he was in a movie and he doesn't. I think they managed that balancing act very, very well.
I disagree.
And Jackman had some great dramatic scenes.
Okay.
And I think the film was at its best when it was just the two of them before they started encountering every cameo under the sun in the void.
I agree with that. The only semi-decent part of this movie for me is the middle. The first half hour where it's just Deadpool is absolutely rotten. It's so bad. It's like excruciatingly bad. None of it was funny. It's just exposition for exposition's sake.
Not even good exposition. It didn't give me anything.
And then the last half hour felt almost the same to me, where I was just bored. I just wanted it to end by the last half hour of this film. Look, I know I sound super negative. I feel I hate doing this, but I just really, really didn't like this movie. And I'm glad that you did. I need to stress this. I'm super glad for the people who did enjoy this movie. This movie just isn't for me. And it's not because it's a superhero movie. There's plenty of superhero movies I like. There's plenty of superhero comedies I like. This movie just didn't resonate with me at all. And I'm not saying it's my fault. I think it's the film's fault. But I'm super happy for people who did enjoy it.
I'm going to quickly check off a few things that if were I the editor, I would have excised from the film completely.
Okay.
I didn't need Dogpool. Fuck that shit off completely. Dogpool and Spider-Ham can both fuck right off. The problem we've got with the MCU in general, but DC as well to a lesser extent, although I think they've kind of handled it better on the DC front, is we're getting very close to having 100 years of storytelling with these companies.
Yeah.
You know, we're only about a decade away from things like Batman and Superman literally celebrating their 100th birthday.
Yeah.
Storytelling style and everything has changed enormously over that time. And not everything still works. When you've got sort of splinter tongue-in-cheek comic lines like the Spider-Ham thing, like Dogpool, like these whole quirky variants of things, because it's all comic accurate. I can't criticize them for putting something stupid in there that they've just come up with. They've taken it all from Marvel Comics.
Yeah, yeah.
But they didn't need to take it all, because I don't think it all works.
Yeah.
Just because Howard the Duck exists in the MCU doesn't mean you should put him in as, quote unquote serious comic movie, because it reduces, it just neuters your entire storyline because it's stupid.
Yeah.
And I didn't like. I didn't want Dogpool. I didn't need fucking Nice Pool just so that Ryan Reynolds could show how pretty he is with long hair.
Yeah.
None of that worked for me. On the other hand, I really, really enjoyed having Jennifer Garner and Wesley Snipes and, God, even Channing Tatum. Even though, look, to be fair, all it did was point out how good Taylor Kitsch was as the perfect Gambit and how glad I am we never got a Channing Tatum film. But I liked those cameos. I liked just the background stuff at Cassandra Nova's, where you saw all of these characters from past films that they didn't even bother to name check. That was subtly done, and I liked it. Cassandra Nova wasn't fleshed out nearly enough. I felt bad for Emma Corrin.
Yeah, I mean, look, there's no denying that this movie is cameo city. Like I said, for me, that's all this movie has going for it, which is what annoyed me most about it, because it spends so much of its time trying to wink at the camera and say, hey, this is stupid, Marvel. And it's like, yeah, that's all you're doing. The cameos surprised me, that's for sure. Seeing Jennifer Garner was fun. Seeing Wesley Snipes was fun. I don't think that they did anything fun with those characters. For me, the thrill is simply in like, hey, there's that person. And then 10 seconds later, I'm back to being bored.
I'm kind of giving it a little bit of a pass, because unlike certainly Multiverse of Madness, which I think is an atrocious film, and even Spider-Man No Way Home, which I don't think is a terrible film. I just had a bunch of problems with it. But unlike those films, knowing why they included the cameos that they did, or at least some of them, as a way to kind of acknowledge those films and kind of bid farewell to them, etc., etc., I kind of like the rationale. And so even though realistically, did we need Elektra, did we need Blade, etc., other than to have cameo and a fun gag about the fact that there'll never be another Blade, and make fun of the fact that Ryan Reynolds and Wesley Snipes hated each other on the set of Blade Trinity. Where I'd normally go, oh, well, that's just bullshit, cameo for cameo's sake, and that's the MCU's biggest problem at the moment, is prioritizing, mugging to the camera, nudge, nudge, wink, wink cameos over actual writing. I'm kind of giving a little bit of a pass to some of it, because I do find it quite nice that they've kind of acknowledging 20 years of Fox movies.
See, the only cameo,
maybe only 4 of those films do I actually think are any good.
Yeah, the only cameo that worked for me was Chris Evans, because that at least had a twist to it. That felt like it had a story kind of reason. That was the only one that to me actually.
And you didn't laugh out loud.
I didn't laugh, not once.
When Deadpool went Avengers, and he went flame on.
I didn't laugh. I was mildly tickled. That was the closest I came to feeling anything in the film. I was like, oh, that's amusing. That's a clever little twist. I like that. That was the extent of it. I certainly didn't laugh. So look,
see, I saw it coming, and I still laughed out loud like an idiot.
Yeah. So look, very, very different. How are you scoring Deadpool and Wolverine?
Look, one other thing which irritates me, and this was when I walked out of the film, I was an 8 out of 10 on this, maybe 8.5, because I had literally laughed out loud so much through it, even though it felt too long and there was a bunch of shit I didn't like. I came out on a high. If I was doing a cinema score thing, I would have been A-ing this thing all over the place. The more I thought about it, I'd say I'm a 7.5 now. But one of the things that really, and I'm hoping you can kind of explain it to me because you've already cleared up a couple of things for me that my tiny brain couldn't handle. So the whole film essentially operates around this concept of anchor people.
Yeah,
every
so
timeline
it's
has
similar
an anchor
to
person.
Spider-Verse, where there's the canon events and
Yeah. So every universe has a canon, an anchor person, and presumably when they pass on, someone else becomes the anchor person, or it doesn't work because the human lifespan is very short compared to the length of time.
Yes.
So Logan Wolverine was the anchor person in the Fox universe, and then he sacrificed himself in Logan and died. And for some reason, that no more anchor person, the whole world starts to unravel. Everyone dies. Why is every timeline not unraveling when the anchor person just reaches their allotted lifespan?
Well, this is why that whole
dies.
premise is so stupid, because what about the fucking 2,000 years of existence before Logan was born? Like,
that's why I'm assuming maybe anchor when that's an anchor person dies and you anchor person, someone else is the anchor person. It doesn't make sense.
But that's the thing also, that because Matthew McFadden was a bad guy, not just as in like he was like, this isn't usual. They don't usually destroy the world. He said that when the anchor person dies, he said it usually takes tens of thousands of years for that universe to unravel and die
it
out.
withers away.
But
I can't
he was
be bothered
the
waiting.
one who,
I've made a universe
exactly.
ripper machine that's going to do it, nip it in the bud and get rid of the, prune the dead wood
exactly
instantaneously.
Which is just it's a stupid premise to begin with.
Yeah, fine. But the other thing is, so all of that bothered me. The idea that someone with an 80-year, even in Logan's case, 200, 300-year lifespan, is holding together billions of years of existence made no sense to me. But Logan is set in 2029.
Yes.
Deadpool and Wolverine is set in 2024.
Yes.
Logan hasn't fucking died yet. So why is shit unraveling?
Yes.
And I've read other reviews going, oh, well, when the anchor person is so important that when they die, it unravels everything before them. It's like, then no timeline would exist because at some point in the future, every fucking anchor person dies.
Yes.
No, it's such a fundamental flaw with the core premise of this film that it annoyed the shit out of me.
Well, even when you start questioning it, why did Matthew McFadden want to save Deadpool? Like, even that didn't make sense.
It's flimsy, but I get that they have seen, because they have because Loki now, and I don't think you've watched the Loki TV show, but at the end of season 2, Loki now sits in the chair at the end of time, governing all of the timelines. So that's why the TVA no longer go around snuffing out timelines, etc., because he's kind of changed their previous ways. And Matthew McFadden's character wants to go back to the old way they did it, where they just ruthlessly, erased shit.
Yeah.
But they have some sight over the future, and that little snippet that I think they recycled from one of the Thor movies where they had the cameos doing the play that Loki put on, but they were showing something. Well, Deadpool apparently plays some pivotal role in the future in that little scene that you saw with Thor.
But you're going to tell me that they
want to snatch him out of that timeline so that he can do what he's foreordained to do in the future.
Okay,
fine. But I'll give you that. I don't give a shit.
If that's the case, surely the TV, if they'd be fucking snatching Logan before he died, if he's that important. Like,
no,
are you telling me
they don't care about the timeline? It's not the sacred timeline. They don't care about the other timelines fizzling out.
But you're telling me that out of all of the heroes in the fucking Fox multiverse, Deadpool is the one that we're going to save. Like,
yes, and I think that's one thing where I think it will become I think they're going to utilize the fact that he's this unique character who is aware of the fact that he's a character, etc.
Can I tell you something? I don't think they are, because I don't think they're going to get that far. I think that this movie aside, I don't think this is the movie to save the MCU. This movie can do as well as it wants to. When the next 4 come out and they are poorly received and poorly seen at the box office. This franchise is going to die. We're not going to get... look, whether we get Secret Wars or not, we probably will. I don't think we're going to get... I don't think we're going to get much further than that. This franchise does not have another 34 films in it at this point.
No, it'll need to continue to reinvent. I think 100% we're going to get to whatever Kang Legacy Dynasty is now called, Doom, whatever.
With Robert Downey Jr. as fucking Doomsday.
That better be a kind of a magician feint. Look over here. Look at the monkey. If they actually have RDJ as Dr. Doom,
they're going to.
That is a. And I know there are,
because here's the thing.
Writing, there are comic things where there were variants of Doom that were Tony Stark. I don't even remember. There was that shit, but it's a fucking terrible decision.
But here's the thing: why announce it in advance if not? If this is a magician look over their thing, they would leave it as a surprise.
They know that RDJ was the kind of linchpin of the MCU up until Endgame.
Yeah.
He was the most popular character. He got all the best lines. He was, he was the guy, and someone at Disney has gone, shit, no one likes our stuff anymore. Get the guy back. The guy. Everyone loved the guy. And so they paid him, and I'm sure it will come out at some point in the next few months, but what he is being paid will be a record salary to bring him back in to the MCU. It'll be something ridiculous like 30 million plus 10% of the fucking back end.
Yeah.
To bring him back in. Because they think it will kind of... Everyone's gone, oh, fuck, there's no Captain America, there's no Iron Man. All of the cool people have gone. It's just the shit characters left, and we don't like the new people. So they've got, get the guy back.
Yeah. Look, I'm a 3 out of 10 on this film. Honestly, for me, this is one of the lowest of the year. I found it extremely... Look, I was being facetious the last couple of weeks when I was joking about how bad this was going to be. I actually thought this was going to be pretty good. I didn't go in with low expectations. I went in with, at the very least, middling, and this fell so far short of that for me. So,
I think I haven't done the maths, but I think we differ more on this than we did on Fast 10. And
I'm sure
incredible.
We did. I'm sure we did, because that's a decent movie. So even if you didn't like it, you couldn't rate that as low as this.
I think I gave that. Oh no! Wait a minute. No, I gave that something horrendous, like 3.5 out of 10, and I'm giving this a strong 7.5. So
yeah, okay. Yeah. So our differ there was worse.
Yeah.
Well, next week we're getting to a movie that I hope we don't differ too much on. I've seen a trailer, which I don't actually watch trailers, but I saw it at the cinema, and I'm quite excited for M. Night Shyamalan's Trap.
I've seen a trailer and it looks good, but it's M. Night Shyamalan, so I know it's going to be shit.
Well, I'm really excited. And M. Night Shyamalan is now kind of our guy, because you can head on over to patreon.com/pottymouth, where we have started our new sub-series, Shyamalanigans, where we're going through his entire filmography, up to and including Trap, I guess. So,
yeah, pretty much.
I'm excited for next week. In the meantime, if you want to get in touch with us, you can do that at pottymouthradio.com. All of the links are there. You can join the Facebook listener community. Link is in the show notes, where you can give us shit, I guess. You can tell me how wrong I was on this. You can tell Dave how wrong he was on this.
I don't think anyone's doing that. I think you're going to be getting a fucking tsunami of hate mail.
You can leave us a review on iTunes and Spotify and stuff, but if you're a big Deadpool and Wolverine fan, maybe don't do that this week.
Yeah, don't do that. We don't need any more 1-star reviews.
We'll catch you next week.
See ya.